Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. What's for dinner? Hey everyone, I'm Chef Z and welcome back to my channel, Chef Z Cooks. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make grilled steak kebabs with a homemade chimichurri sauce. Now this is the perfect dish for summer when we're all barbecuing and enjoying time with friends and family. Now I will say this is a super easy recipe to throw together at the last minute, and that chimichurri sauce is definitely going to become a barbecue staple. It's one of my staples during the summer because it goes great on practically anything, not just grilled steak. Now, if you don't already know, I actually have a standalone how to make a chimichurri sauce video here on my channel. Go ahead and check it out. It's actually a really fun video. And like always, stay tuned until the very end where I like to share my tips and tricks to help you get the perfect steak kebabs and chimichurri sauce each and every single time. Let's go ahead and get started. Making homemade steak kebabs is really easy, and you probably already have all of the ingredients on hand in addition to all of the ingredients that you need to make this homemade chimichurri sauce. We're going to start off by making the chimichurri sauce, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to add some fresh parsley followed by some fresh cilantro, and you want to use equal parts parsley and cilantro to really give this sauce some beautiful flavor. We're now going to add some fresh garlic followed by some shallots, but you can definitely use white onions instead. I'm going to go ahead and add some red pepper seeds, which is totally optional, along with a pinch of kosher salt and some fresh black pepper. After we've added the pepper, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add some beautiful fresh flavor to the chimichurri sauce by zesting the lemon. Now, depending on how lemony you want your chimichurri sauce to be, you can either zest 1/2 of the lemon as I did in today's recipe, or you can go ahead and zest the whole entire thing. Just remember to thoroughly wash the lemon before zesting it. And after we've zested our lemon, we're going to go ahead and squeeze all of that yummy juice into our chimichurri. Now, once you've added the fresh lemon juice, we're going to go ahead and we're going to blend everything all together. And be mindful that you can either blend it in a blender or you can use a food processor. You just want to make sure that everything is blended together and you want to get it as smooth as you can. However, if you like a chunky chimichurri sauce, that's also totally fine. So after we've mixed everything, we're going to go ahead and just transfer our fresh ingredients into a bowl. And now we're going to go ahead and add just a little bit more acid just to make all of these flavors truly come alive. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some red wine vinegar along with some extra virgin olive oil. You can definitely eyeball this to your liking and feel free to taste it and adjust it for any seasoning like salt and pepper if it needs it. So once we've mixed it all together, we're going to go ahead and set that off to the side. And now we're actually going to start seasoning our steak. When seasoning the steak, it's really important that you choose a cut of meat that has beautiful marbling as you see here. So that can be either some hanger steak or even some chuck steak. We're now going to start seasoning the meat by adding some freshly mashed garlic along with some Dominican oregano, but regular oregano will also work. We're also going to add just a touch of cumin, and remember that a little bit goes a long way. I'm now going to add a pinch of kosher salt along with some fresh black pepper. And afterwards, we're going to add just a little bit of freshness by adding a freshly squeezed lime. Now, as you guys know, this is one of my all-time favorite marinades for meat because it's super easy, super fresh, and it's something that you can throw together whenever you're expecting guests over for dinner or when you're hungry and you don't have that much time to prepare dinner. So once we've added the lime, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add some olive oil to help this marinade come together. And now we're going to mix it until it's well combined and all of that meat is beautifully coated in that wonderful marinade. Now, speaking of marinade, you definitely want to let the meat marinate for at least an hour. but the longer it sits in the marinade, the better it is. So I definitely recommend at minimum an hour, but it's best a few hours or even overnight. Alright guys, so while the meat is marinating in the refrigerator, I wanted to talk to you about today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community where you can expand your creative journey and take a ton of classes that range from graphic design, film, video editing, and so much more. As a lot of you guys know, I am actually no stranger to film and video, but one of the areas that I wanted to work on was my food photography. So I told myself that 2020 was the year and I was actually going to tackle this. So I took a course on Skillshare, food photography, shooting in 5 different styles. And let me tell you guys something, I am officially obsessed. The course was easy to follow, quick, and I love that they gave you actionable tips and tricks that you can put into practice right away. In fact, if you follow me on any one of my platforms, then you've noticed that my food photography has evolved and it will continue to change, especially as I practice my skills more and more. Now, if you have an existing passion that you want to dive into, I say go ahead and try Skillshare out because 2020 is definitely the year. And because Skillshare is the official sponsor for today's video, they've given me a special link which you can click in the description box, and the first 1,000 people to do so will get to try Skillshare for free for 2 months. Now, Skillshare is very affordable. Their annual membership is about less than $10 a month. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video, and let's jump right back into the recipe. So once the meat has finished marinating, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start building our skewers. And keep in mind that you can use wooden skewers or metal skewers as I'm doing here. If you choose to use wooden skewers, just make sure to soak them in water for at least an hour before building the skewers. And you want to add enough meat so that it covers the skewers completely. Now it's up to you if you want to go ahead and add some onions, peppers, and tomatoes. I personally love making skewers where it's just meat. We're now going to start grilling our steak skewers, and you want to make sure that your grill is piping hot, and you also want to be really careful. After the meat has been grilling untouched for at least 4 to 5 minutes, you want to go ahead and you want to flip them over, and you want to resist the urge to flip them over constantly. And after another 5 minutes, we're going to go ahead and remove them, and we're going to let them rest for 3 to 5 minutes just so that the meat is nice, juicy, and tender. So there you guys have it, my recipe for homemade steak kebabs with the chimichurri sauce. If you have any questions, comment down below. And until next week, I'm Chef Z y buen provecho. Alright guys, here are my quick tips to help you get the perfect steak kebabs and chimichurri sauce each and every single time. For my first tip, make sure that the steak is at room temperature before you grill it. Now, the number one mistake that people make whenever they are grilling any kind of meat is that they actually take it straight out of the refrigerator and put it onto the grill, and what ends up happening is that your meat cooks unevenly. Now, a way to avoid that is while you're actually warming up the grill, make sure that the meat is on the counter coming up to room temperature, and what you'll end up getting is a meat that's perfectly cooked. Now, speaking of your grill, for my second tip, when making the steak kebabs, make sure that your grill is really hot. And I mean as hot as you can get it, because you definitely want those grates to be piping hot. However, you also want to be super careful. Now for my third tip, when you're grilling the steak kebabs on your super hot grill, make sure to resist the urge of closing the lid. What we don't want to do is that we don't want the steak to actually begin to sweat, because the minute it starts releasing its own juices, the meat is actually going to get really tough. Now, when you cook it with the lid open, you're actually allowing for the environment in the grill to stay more on the drier side, so your steak is going to cook beautifully. And this is very similar to a tip that I gave in my lomo saltado video. Now for my fourth and final tip, don't panic if your chimichurri sauce loses its vibrancy and changes color. Remember that when we made our chimichurri sauce, we added a ton of acid. So we added some lemon juice, and we also added some red wine vinegar. And those two are actually going to eat away at the color and the vibrancy of the cilantro and the parsley that we put to our chimichurri sauce, but that's totally fine. And just be sure that when you make your chimichurri sauce, you enjoy it within 3 to 4 days of actually making it. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions, be sure to comment below and join the Chef Z family so that you're always in the know whenever I post an all new video. And if you need inspiration on what to cook next, go ahead and click right here.